We've been ordered to our homes to help flatten the curve of COVID-19 infections, and this happened in waves across the world. And then NASA released these images, and then articles like these started to flood our timelines. So does quarantining humans actually help the climate crisis? To get to the bottom of this question, I lined up a handful of experts: an oceanographer, a global conservation scientist, and spokespersons from the National Park Service and NASA. NASA has been releasing some of these images of what the atmosphere looked like before the pandemic and now during the pandemic, and it's been amazing to see. But can you help us interpret what some of these images mean?
So Earth-observing satellites have allowed us to look at these properties of the Earth system. In this case, in one case I can name nitrogen dioxide, which is a pollutant and harmful to air quality. And what we've seen over some major cities all across the globe is an actual drop in nitrogen dioxide, or an air pollutant.
The first images were over China, comparing January 2020 to February. Then recently, this image shows a 30% air pollution drop over the northeastern United States. Zoomed in closer, NASA's satellite images show normally busy places now appearing like a ghost town. And back to Earth, people have been sharing their own evidence of witnessing better air quality in normally polluted cities like Los Angeles, Paris, and New Delhi. Photos of seemingly more frequent appearances of wildlife have also appeared on our timelines, like this video on Yosemite National Park's Facebook page of bears coming out of hibernation. So this is evidence that the Earth is healing itself, right?
What they should be understanding is that
we haven't seen anything spectacular.
We don't have solid data.
We don't have large amounts of sort of macro evidence.
The bottom line, there's just not enough data yet. And scientists still stress that despite these hopeful images of more visible wildlife and clean air during the COVID-19 pandemic, the climate is still in crisis.
I promise you that the biggest crisis really facing the planet is climate change.
Dr. Sanjayan explains that's because of the stress we have put on all of our resources before the pandemic.
You know, at the beginning of this year, I was really talking about forest fires and how catastrophic they were in California last year, in Australia, this year.
Oceanographer Daria Kainek talks about how we've exploited our oceans.
It is estimated that we have overfished at least a third of our fish stocks at this point in time, and we've destroyed at least a third of very critical marine habitats.
Daria continues a list of daunting damage that humans have caused to the oceans and marine life, which are escalated by climate change, to get to this point.
Essentially, we're at a point where we are really pushing the limits of how much the ocean can support the well-being and livelihood of humans.
And all of our experts stress this, but Dr. Sanjayan says that our current global slowdown can actually be the answer to solving the climate crisis.
What you have seen with this current coronavirus, with this pandemic, is almost the climate change problem accelerated and magnified within the span of a month. The unraveling of society, the unraveling of economies because of an existential threat. And the way to act towards it is also the same, right? We need collective action at multiple scales, where there's individual responsibility, but also governmental responsibility, where everyone kind of needs to work essentially together, led by good science, where taking action sooner means that the cost of it is going to be a lot less than waiting and delaying and taking action later.
I'm Davy Sutton reporting.